the big knockout clashes.
Right out of the gate, we're getting absolutely mouth-watering fixtures. And let's talk about Japan for a second, because they are a terrifying, legitimate threat. Look at their recent October 2025 friendlies. They pulled off this stunning 3-2 win against Brazil, and then followed it up with a 1-0 victory over England. I mean, they are confirmed giant slayers. But, and this is a huge but, right? Brazil has been playing arguably the best football of the tournament. Vinicius Jr. is out there looking practically unstoppable in that legendary yellow shirt.
Let's move through this and see how it builds. Mapping out Brazil's path gives us a pretty fascinating bracket. Step 1, survive Japan in the round of 32. From there, they're looking at either Ivory Coast or Norway in the round of 16, which, wow, both of those are going to be very promising, super intense matchups. And if they manage to push through to the quarterfinals, the gauntlet just keeps going with heavyweights like England, Ecuador, Mexico, or Scotland. It is one wild pathway to glory.
Another top-order fixture that's officially set is the Netherlands taking on Morocco. And man, this is such a fascinating tactical clash. You've got Morocco, right? A team that relies heavily on verticality, really aggressive positional play, going head-to-head with Ronald Koeman's Netherlands. The Dutch have adopted this much more pragmatic, possession-based approach this time around. So it's a true battle of footballing philosophies out there on the pitch.
Now, while we have confirmed matches, like the USA taking on Bosnia and Canada facing South Africa, there is this incredible hypothetical sort of looming on the horizon. Could we actually see the USA face Iran in the round of 16? If Iran manages to bypass Egypt and top their group, and then both teams win their initial knockout games, we are looking at a truly blockbuster round of 16 fixture. Just wild.
Section 2, is Germany in danger?
So, it's definitely worth noting that Germany has reached the knockouts for the first time since 2018, which finally ends that really painful streak of group stage exits. You absolutely have to give Julian Nagelsmann credit for that. But after securing their top spot early on, they took a surprisingly safe approach. Jamal Musiala actually gave a quote that perfectly encapsulates their whole mindset. He said, "Take minimum damage." Nagelsmann's side completely stepped off the gas against Ecuador, which honestly has raised some serious doubts. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark divide in how these teams are operating right now. On one side, you have Germany's cold, calculated pragmatism. They literally did the bare minimum just to protect their status. But then look at the other side. Ecuador played with this high-intensity do-or-die hunger. They were desperate, they were passionate, and they were basically playing for their absolute lives. If Germany meets a team playing with Ecuador's fiery desperation in the knockouts, and they can't quickly shift back into high gear, they are in serious trouble. Which brings us to a very uncomfortable question for German fans. Should Manuel Neuer be benched? Look, let's be brutally honest here. His performance over the last 3 matches has been subpar. He just has not looked reliable, and it's making fans incredibly nervous. It really begs the question, is this fierce loyalty to a legend going to end up costing Germany the World Cup? And the whole goalkeeper dilemma gets even more complicated when you really look at the breakdown. Marc-Andre ter Stegen was poised to start, but then he got injured. Oliver Baumann played brilliantly through the qualifiers, putting in all the hard work, only to end up benched. And Neuer, who was literally called out of retirement, is starting despite some pretty poor form. With all due respect to his legacy as one of the greatest of all time, it's really hard not to feel like his GOAT status is the only thing keeping him in that starting lineup over Baumann. It's an incredibly high-stakes gamble.
Section 3, Ecuador's passion and drive.
To truly understand this team's absolute emotional high, you gotta look at the mastermind behind it. Coach Sebastian Beccaceche. His backstory is just incredible. Early in his career, he used to take 14-hour bus rides every single week just to attend Marcelo Bielsa's training sessions. He eventually worked his way up to be Bielsa's video analyst. Fast forward to today, facing extreme pressure, threats of being sacked, and he leads Ecuador to a historic qualification. The pure emotion of him in tears, hugging his family in the stands after that final whistle, I mean, that right there is the beautiful game. Now, what's really interesting about this is how that heart extends to the players on the pitch, really humanizing all that tactical brilliance. You have Enner Valencia, 36 years old, a man who literally went from milking cows to competing on the biggest World Cup stage. You have Gonzalo Plata scoring a legendary cheeky goal right past Neuer, Nilson Angulo tearing the net with a terrifyingly powerful strike, and Pedro Veit just absolutely dominating the midfield. They are a team you absolutely have to fear.
But hey, Ecuador isn't the only incredible underdog story we've got here. We have to pivot and give immense credit to Ivory Coast, who have secured a historic debut in the knockout stages. Coach Emers Fa took on an enormous responsibility and has completely transformed them into one of the absolute best teams in Africa right now.
We are talking about a true golden generation here. They are reaching the knockout stage for the first time in their entire history. They secured the second spot in their group and are set to face Norway next. When you look at the sheer talent in this squad, Nicolas Pepe scoring crucial goals, that elite, rock-solid midfield duo of Franck Kessié and Ibrahim Sangaré, and massive defensive giants like Kosunu and Diomande, you realize pretty quickly this is a deeply talented, historically significant team. Do not underestimate them. Oh, and we absolutely can't talk about underdogs without briefly tipping our hats to Curaçao. The smallest Caribbean nation in the tournament gave us pure magic. For 17 glorious minutes, they actually held a 1-1 draw against the mighty Germany. Absolute dreamland for their fans. And let's not forget their goalkeeper, Eloy Room, who made a staggering 15 saves in their match against Ecuador. Just unbelievable grit.
Section 4. Turkey's tragic exit.
Now, for all the underdog triumphs, there is always the cruel, unforgiving reality of tournament football. Sometimes giving it your absolute all and even winning your final game simply isn't enough. Turkey experienced this heartbreak firsthand. They actually pulled off a thrilling 3-2 victory in their final match, but it meant absolutely nothing. Because of terrible previous results under Vincenzo Montella, specifically a 2-0 loss to Australia and a devastating loss to Paraguay, they are exiting the tournament, finishing at the bottom of their group in 4th place.
So, the crucial point is 32. This staggering number represents the sheer volume of shots Turkey took in their devastating 1-0 loss to Paraguay. It's one of those stats that is going to haunt their fans for years.
To really understand the tragedy, look at the breakdown of that Paraguay nightmare. They conceded a goal in just the 2nd minute. Then they spent the next 90 minutes absolutely bombarding the goal with 32 total shots. But here's the kicker. Only 5 were actually on target. They created 5 big, clear-cut chances, and they missed all 5 of them. That tragic inefficiency in front of the goal is exactly what allowed Paraguay and Australia to comfortably draw 0-0 and advance at Turkey's expense.
So, as we look ahead, there is a very clear warning flashing right now for England fans. Watch out for Ecuador. As things stand, a potential fixture between England and Ecuador in the quarterfinals is looming. And given England's historic struggles against teams that can defend deeply and strike with high-intensity passion, this has historic upset written all over it. Do not take them lightly.
The stage is set, folks. The underdogs are biting back, and the heavy favorites are looking surprisingly vulnerable. As we head into these intense knockout fixtures, I want to leave you with this. With Japan hunting, Ecuador starving for a win, and Ivory Coast making actual history, which Goliath will be the next to fall? Keep watching, because this World Cup is far from over. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you guys for the next breakdown.